Yes, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Sankarshan Joshi trip. This is a solo Q&A episode. This is a part of the podcast where I put a poll on my Instagram asking a question, or I let people ask me a question. And this episode is about the later. So I put a poll on my Instagram and I let people ask me a question, which I will be answering in the episode. So, hope you guys have fun.
A Sankarshan Joshi trip.
Man, it feels so long since I've recorded my last podcast. It's like I feel like it's been ages because this is my comfort zone. And for some weird reason, like me talking into this microphone and you guys listening to me, it feels like home. Like, I don't know, for some weird reason, I feel very, very comfortable. I feel very safe. So this is a place where I talk my thoughts out loud and you all come to listen to that. I'm so grateful for you all. So let me thank you all for being here once again. And usually I I make notes of like what I want to talk on the podcast, but since it's been like so long that I recorded this podcast, I didn't even care to think about what I'm going to talk. I was just like I need to sit in front of microphone, and like that was the only thought I had. So I don't even know what I'm going to talk in this episode. Uh let me think what's been happening in my life, so that will give me an idea of what to talk. uh like I said in my earlier episodes, I've been looking for jobs since I am a graduate now. I finished my bachelor's in design and I'm looking for jobs. Looking for jobs is one of the most annoying thing. Like it is so tiresome because you have to apply, you have to give an interview, and if you are a designer, they will give you a certain task and you have to take like a day, put in a lot of efforts and like design something like whatever they brief you. And if they like that, then you're gonna have an interview, and then if they like the interview, you're gonna have like second round of interview. So it's like this is a lengthy process and you don't even know like you're gonna get the job or not. And like sometimes you hear responses, sometimes you don't hear responses, and you sit questioning yourself, if are you a good designer? Because like some interviewees really like my work and they give me so much compliments, but I don't hear back from them. And some people, like I can literally hear the criticism of my work, like they literally do not like my work. So I just sit and think, like, which one is true? Like, am I good or am I not? So getting into that dilemma, and like you have to evaluate yourself when they give you a certain pay. Like when they offer you a certain pay, you have to sit and cross question, is this pay enough? Like the experience and the knowledge that you have, do I feel like that money is worth my experience? So it's like so many things you have to think, and it's so tiring. I wish I could go back to school where, or like college at least, like where I didn't have to think about anything else. All I had to think about was show up to class the next day, do assignment, like write exams. That's all I have to think. Now I have to think about getting paid. Now I have to think about like paying bills, and I also have an education loan, so I have to repay that shit too. So this, I am entering into adulthood, and it feels so weird because like when you're in college or when you're in school, you know what to expect the next day because you're going to class. It's the same usual routine. But like in adulthood, it's so different. Like there's so much of uncertainty. I mean, like if you get a job, then like showing up to job, like that routine like makes sense. But since I don't even have a job right now, it's like so uncertain. I don't even know like what tomorrow is gonna be like. So okay, I'm gonna stop whining now. And so recently I met my college friends. So we went on a small trip, and so it was a 2 day trip. I met all of my like really good friends, and it was so weird because like I don't even know when I'm gonna meet them again. And we've been like like such good like tight friends, and we were having like so much fun together in the college. And now it's like we don't even know when we are gonna see each other again. It is so weird, man. Like, I had to vacate the room that I was staying in, like during my college. And while I was vacating, like so many memories were rushing into my head. Like, in that room I've been the most happiest. In that room I've been the most sad. I've been angry. I've had like so many memories, like good, bad. I've had like I've gotten drunk in my room. Like, there's so many like drunk stories. They're like super, super. Like, there's a lot of memories. And like 1 hour before I was about to like vacate, all of these things like came rushing into my head. I had this like very uneasiness in my stomach, like that some tingly feeling that I'm gonna be leaving this room and going out. So it felt so weird. And it is so like one of the most like good and the bad part about like college life is that's the time of your life where you are no more a kid, like you're growing up, and also you're learning, and you're also making a lot of mistake. So it's like these past like 4 years of my like college life, I've changed so much as a person, like in just 4 years. Like, I have exponentially changed, like from like first year to second year to third year to fourth year. It's like so different. Like, my last year was entirely from home because of this fucking pandemic and lockdown. But yeah, anyways, it was like so weird, and the journey has been such a like there is a lot of things that I learned about myself in that way. That journey was like gave me so many profound thoughts, and like gave me a profound memories to like take forward in my life. uh when I, like initially when I entered college, like I came from a very small town. uh like it was not a village, but it was a city, but it was like pretty small town in Karnataka. And then I moved to Bangalore. So it's like the initial like 1 or 2 months was like very different to me. I was uh inside I was super insecure and like underconfident, but like outside I would act like I'm an extrovert. Like, I would like put in a lot of effort to fake my confidence. So, and like I remember my English wasn't that great. So yeah, like I was having a hard time like having proper conversations with people, because like in Bangalore, like people are so well versed and so fluent in English, and I wasn't that fluent back then, so that added to my insecurity. From there to here, like me actually recording this podcast in English, it's like so many like so many things like I have been through, and so many things uh that I will never ever forget. So many things that I learned. My first year was like that, like initial, like you wanna make friends and you wanna have like a friend circle. So like my first year, usually in college you don't like form friends, you just end up in circles. Like, I don't know, like you don't sit and then plan, oh I'm gonna be in this circle, oh I'm gonna be friends with them. You don't sit and plan, but gradually you just end up in those circles. So my first year was like super fine, because it was like the honeymoon phase of my friends, and like new friends, making like going out, like having fun, doing new things and all of that. And then in my second year, that circle that I was a part of was falling apart. Like, that's when you get comfortable with the crowd, like you start like sharing your uh like deep things, like whatever you've been through and all of that, like the emotional stuff. And like that's when it either starts to build up stronger, or it starts to like drift apart. So like after that phase, that circle like entirely like felt apart. I don't even talk to most of them, like who I was friends with in my first year. Like that circle, I don't even talk to them anymore. uh yeah, that was like that's the sad part. And then from my second year, I like like once I ended that, like my first friend circle, I ended up in my like the second group of friends. uh I stopped hanging out a lot with my college friends. I started like hanging out with my other school friends that I had, who were also living in Bangalore. So I started hanging out with them, so my entire second year was with them. And when my second year ended, that friendship also like went in vain. I like that like I was in a toxic friendship, like where one of my friend would like always talk shit to me, like make me feel insecure and all of that. So yeah, my entire second year was like that. Like yeah, that was my second year. And then when I ended that friendship, I made a decision. I made a promise for myself that like the toxic, I'm not even gonna tolerate any form of toxicity. So like I don't owe anything to anyone. Like in my first year and second year of college, I was acting like I owe something to people. So it's like if they're going through something, I was forcing myself to stay with them when they're going through it. But sometimes they are not at all grateful for you, and they throw shit at you, like they say mean things to you even though you're there with them. So yeah, like now when I look back, it sounds like so childish that I'm even like talking about that. But yeah, like I don't know, weirdly I feel like sharing my college journey with you guys today. So yeah, like after my the second circle, which was like pretty toxic and very it made me feel very insecure, like that journey. So when that friendship ended, I was at a place where I had very low confidence and I was feeling very insecure about myself. Yeah, that's when I decided, like I said, that I'm not going to tolerate any form of toxicity and I'm going to have fun, that's all. And like make good friends and make memories with them. I don't have to have friends who will be there with me when I go through shit, right? Like I need like one or two friends like that, but all the friends that I make doesn't have to be there with me when I go through shit. So I made that decision and my life changed. Like after my second year of college, when I ended that toxic relation, that was like a milestone of my life. Like that's when I started working out. uh, that's when I like started like putting in efforts to make something out of myself. So that's when I like I would audition for plays, and I performed in a lot of like productions, because like I love acting and I'm very like passionate about that form of art. So I did that and I put in a lot of effort into like submitting my college assignments on time. Like I put a lot of efforts into getting good marks. So and also I would talk to everybody in my class. Like I decided I'm not gonna have like one circle. I'm gonna be friends with everybody. So I started talking to everybody. I started like but still I ended up in a circle which was like, since I learned my lessons from the previous friend circles, like I could apply all of my lessons. So I made really good friends in my third year, and with whom I had a lot of memories, lot of fun, lot of drunken stories, and lot of high stories. So it's like so many I could like literally feel different. Like when you're in a toxic friendship or when you're in any form of toxic relationship, right? The air feels very different, like it feels very suffocating. But once you come out, once you start making like good friends with whom you have fun and like you make good memories with, you can literally like feel so good. Like I cannot explain that feeling, but it's just the smell of fresh air. Like it's a breath of fresh air. It feels so good. And I am still in friends with I still have friends who I was in touch with first year and I'm still in touch with now. So literally when I talk to them, I like we talk about how we've grown from what we were. So since that person knew me from like the first from day one to now, that person could literally see how I have changed, and I could see how that person has changed, and we could acknowledge each other's progress. So, having like good friends is so important in life. Like who you associate yourself with is like so important. In my first year of college, that friend circle also made me insecure. I had this one friend who was always like kind of asking me why I don't have a jawline or why I don't have a deep voice, because according to her, that's the definition of masculinity. And I also didn't have beard, right? Like even now I don't have like a full-fledged beard. So like she would ask me all of those questions, and it kind of gave me an impression that, you know what, like girls like those kind of guys. So I, since I am not that kind of guy, I would feel like less confident. But anyways, I would fake my confidence. I would appear to be like a lot confident. So even my second, like my second circle, my second year of friendship was also like that. The toxicity on a very personal level. uh, when you have friends who've been with you since childhood, they share a lot of things. If that friendship becomes toxic, it is so weird. Like my second year was entirely that. All my, like the friends that I knew from my hometown who were in that, who were with me in Bangalore, like my relationship with them like became worse. It became like a lot toxic, because insecure people, they project authority to make themselves feel better. So that's the kind of friends that I had in my second year, who were like insecure. So they would like dominate, who would like, who would be authoritative, who would be mean to others, put others down so that they would feel up. And so yeah, it is like in my, like when that second year, after my second year, I made a decision, like I said, that I'm gonna like tolerate zero toxicity. With that, I also made a pact that I'm gonna make very like I'm gonna associate myself with people who are better than me in any aspect. So then I started making friends with people who are good in theater acting. Then I started making friends with people like who were like entrepreneurs. And like I started making friends, like I started being friends with people who are good at design. So it's like, if someone is good at something, I would definitely go talk to them and be friends with them. Like, so that's when I started to grow as a person. That's when I started to like learn a lot of things from people. So, yeah, like when you associate yourself with people like who are good at something that you are not, that means that you like their company will get you better at that thing. So, it is so constructive. So it's always important to have friends who make you feel like not shitty, like about yourself, like who doesn't make you feel shitty, who will also make you feel like you should be a better person or grow in that field. So when you have constructive people around you, they give you constructive criticism. They don't be mean to you, and they just don't make you feel insecure. They will tell you what you're lacking in a very constructive way, so that like you can improve that skill, like you can improve upon that and be better at that. So yeah, like having that sort of associations and company is very very crucial. Like one of the thing that I learned over the period of time is respecting myself. Like when I respect myself, that's when people are gonna respect me. If I don't even respect myself, if I don't deserve my own respect, why would someone else respect me? So I feel like in friendship or any form of relationship, to avoid toxicity, to avoid any sort of negative things, respecting yourself is very 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 important. So yeah, that is one thing that I had to learn the hard way. So see, like just talking about all of this, like it takes me back to so many memories. Like honestly, right? Like the way how I used to dress also changed, and the way how I used to look also changed since I like lost weight when I started working out. It's like when I go through those pictures, it's very like that personality and that memories is associated to like how I used to be physically also. So when I look at pictures, I'm like, oh shit. Like when I look at myself, I know what I'm like, what is my environment at that time. So yeah, that is so weird. Hmm. So remember this one thing: make sure to associate yourself with people who are better than you at a certain thing, who makes you feel like getting better at whatever you do in a very constructive way, who motivates you, who so like I had few friends who were good at singing. I had few friends who were good at dancing. I had few friends who were good at uh, drawing and making something. So like when I started like associating myself with like people like this, I would motivate them and push them to pursue whatever they like, and they would push and motivate me to pursue what I want to do. So it's like every time I was performing the play, all those friends would come and watch me. If one of my friend who sings, who's performing on open mic, we all would go there and cheer for him. So it's like having this form of like this company, it feels very very weird, trust me. Like, please make sure that you associate with people like that, who support you when you're doing something, who will cheer for you when you're doing something successful. So, and when you're growing, who will be happy for your growth and not sad. You know, these toxic people, when you're growing, when you're being better at something, they create these weird dramas. They're like, oh, you forgot me, you're not, you're not how you used to be, all of that. If you have people like that in your life, kick them out of your life. Like, just kick them. You don't need such people. You need people who will cheer for your growth. So yes, enough of my rant, and now let's get into the Q&A part of today's episode. So Daniel Thomas 1698 asks, why are you so hot? I know this dude. He's a really good friend of mine, and motherfucker, he's pulling my leg here. He's asking me why am I so hot? The like, for some weird reason, like this reminded me of a like a phase in my life where, when you're in college, when you're in school, you think like certain set of people are cool, right? Like, I'm sure you would have like felt that, like in school or like in college, in your class there'd be this one, like two three people who you think they're like damn cool. uh I used to think like that too. That, these people, oh, this person is cool. Oh, damn, this person is cool. Until I realized that everybody is insecure, man. Like, every single body in this entire world is insecure. At least most of them are insecure. Even Kylie fucking Jenner and Kim Kardashian, who have had so many plastic surgeries, who have changed their face, look different, they still feel insecure. Like, when I realized that everybody is insecure about some or the other thing, then I stopped associating people to being cool. Like, uh, when you think someone is cool, you want to be like them, right? Like, you want to associate yourself with them, and they seem very like unreal and perfect. But the day you realize that, everybody has insecure and everybody is insecure about some or the other thing, in a very weird way, it makes me feel better about myself. I know that's a very sad thing to say, but let me explain. Like, hear me out. So, when you know that everybody is insecure about some or the other thing, you will not feel too bad about your insecurities. Like, you feel that you're not the only one who feel this way. You're not the only one who has flaws. When everybody has flaws, you don't look at someone and aspire to be like them. We are all the same. Like, we all are insecure about some or the other thing. So yeah, like when he asked me this question, it reminded me of this paradigm shifting moment. This happened in my college. Like, I was talking to this one person who I thought was like very very cool and like badass, and that, like, slowly we started talking, we became good friends. And when that person started like telling me about the things that he was insecure about, that's when I realized, I was like, holy shit, like everybody is insecure about some or the other thing. Like, I've talked to so many people who I thought were cool, and they all had flaws, they all felt insecure about something. And that's when I stopped calling other people cool, or yeah, and then I didn't tell myself that I'm not cool. Like, that's the state that I was like, uh how do I explain this? This is so weird. I was in a very weird state where I was very confident. when I realized that everybody has flaws and everybody is insecure about some or the other thing, so fuck it. So I remember that paradigm shifting moment of my life. I still remember it when that thing hit me. So when he asked me this question, it reminded me of that. And by the way, let me read the username again. It's Daniel underscore Thomas 1698. This dude, he is an amazing artist. He makes amazing covers. He can sing and he can draw. He's a super talented guy. Make sure you check his account on Instagram. So yeah, show some love to talented people like him. And yeah, I'm proud to call him my friend. And yeah, that's the first question. So the second question is, Vaishak Dutt asks, who's your dream guest to bring on the podcast? Hmm. My dream guest is Joe Rogan. If you don't know who Joe Rogan is, he's the pioneer of podcasts. Like his podcast, Joe Rogan Experience, it's the number one podcast in the entire world. So I started doing this podcast after listening to him. He's been one of my like inspiration and motivation. I always had interesting thoughts, and every time I talk to people, I always used to have some form of constructive conversation. I would learn something from the conversation. So when I started listening to him, when I started enjoying that conversation, that made me feel like, oh damn, like I would also want to have conversations like this with people who know more than me. So, yeah, like he was the person who motivated me to start my own podcast. He was he's a true inspiration to me. So, yeah, Joe Rogan is my dream guest. Vaishak Dutt. Uh, Shu Month asks, what's your video idea process like? So I'm assuming by video he meant podcast. What's my podcast idea? So if I have to like if I'm asking question on my Q&A poll, that means the entire episode, the theme of the entire episode is that question that I'm asking. Uh, so uh like this is what I believe, that every single person has their own philosophy in life. Like they have their own definition of things. Let's say love. To me, love means something, and to you, love means something. And I would love to hear what your definition of love is, because that's how I get a sneak peek of your philosophy of life. To me, friendship means something. If I ask you what your definition of friendship is, it would be very different from mine. And so, like, if I have a thought in my head, and if I want to hear other people's thoughts on that particular thing, I ask a question, and when I read out those responses, I review them on the podcast. Like I just review, in the sense I just tell what my opinion is about that, about those responses. Just uh talk them out loud. So yeah, that's my process. There isn't any like ideation process that I do. I don't sit and think about like, oh, what do I do in my next podcast. It just comes like on the fly. Let's say if I'm watching a movie and the character says some line, I'm like, holy shit, this makes so much sense. So I want to, like, that gets me curious and I ask a question. So yeah, that's my podcast idea format. uh Ashwin underscore 25 underscore 99 asks, the Sankarshan I saw in school was different. What made you do this? So, so Ashwin underscore 25 underscore 99, he was my classmate in school. So he says that I was a very different person and I am a very different person now. And what made me start my podcast? So that's his question. Um, a lot has happened in life since my school ended. 4 years of college, and like in high school, a lot of things, lot of perspectives has changed. So to answer the first part of the question, yes, that's what made me who I am now. All the mistakes that I made, all the lessons that I learned. So yeah, that's about it. That made me as a person. And like the second part of the question was what made me start my own podcast. Uh, I always wanted to do something in media. Like that, like I always had a passion for acting. Like either I wanted to pursue acting or like do something with media. Initially, I thought like, do I have to start like a YouTube channel, like vlog or something? And like I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I always felt this void that I'm not like putting my creativity out there. Like I wasn't making like a good use of my abilities. So like after my third year or like after that like turning point when I started like associating myself with people who are better than me, like I was saying earlier, uh like I was so curious about people. Like so let's say if I meet someone who has directed a lot of plays and like who is better at directing plays than I am, I would love to know what his process is like. So I would ask a lot of questions like, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I would like literally the conversation would last for like half an hour to 45 minutes minimum. And so I don't like gossips. I don't like gossip talks. Sure, they're interesting, but like I don't like to have conversations which are not constructive and which don't help me learn something. So I don't have such conversations. I don't spend my time on that bullshit conversation. So every time I talk to my friends or every time I talk to someone, it has always been like very constructive. So me and my friends, we usually talk about very random things. We talk about life, we talk about like porn, we talk about like love, we talk about friendship, we talk about like psychology of people, like insecure people, like what we've been through in life and all of that. Like it's basically two people talking about their perspectives and how they view life. So every time I talk to any of my friend on call, it would last for like minimum 1 hour. And I was listening to Joe Rogan, and I was like, wait, like if I can have conversation that could last for 1 hour, might as well do it on air and just put it out there. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, and that is the process of like, and that is why I started doing this podcast. So that is the last question of today's episode. Ha, I feel so good after talking to you guys. Like, I feel like it's been a lifetime since I did this. It's been like 10 days since I recorded my last podcast, but it feels like a lifetime. So, hope you guys had fun. This podcast is now recorded on video as well as audio. You can find the audio version on Spotify, JioSavan, and Ghana. If you want to look at me, if you want to look at my beautiful face, then you can come to YouTube and you can just look at me. So, if you want to ask me a question or be a part of this podcast, then make sure you follow me at a Sankarshan Joshi trip on Instagram. So, I keep putting like polls where you can answer my question or you can ask me a question. So, you get to be a part of this podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again. Hope you guys had fun. See you soon.
A Sankarshan Joshi trip.